Enoy Extreme Media UJ. Subscribe for all updates.
I'm extremely concerned with what is going on in this afternoon. As you have heard, we did not have lawyers in the process leading up today. The respondents have not been served up to today. Therefore, they could not have even responded. It's because of what has been going on. You have heard, I know, that our lawyers are on the run. You are now advising us to assemble others who will not run. Because the person terrorizing them is the accused. This is why it's fundamentally important that if there is to be justice in this court, the whole question of how we are represented should be addressed before this very application can be heard. Who are going to make submissions that you are ordering when everybody is on the line? Whom shall? So, it appears to me, the last sitting, I did make a point here, that Mr. Museveni showed the law of detention without trial. And this was advisedly, because that's what it seems all this is aimed at. That we simply remain in detention because we cannot have lawyers, we cannot, the main case we are talking about, we have never seen the disclosures because facilities are. So, coming to this court, it seems we will be trying with our eyes covered, with our hands and feet tied, and with our lips zipped. How can we have justice in that case?
Yes, I have already said all the persons if you have my will, it will be
in which matter? Because you are telling us to make submissions. Who will make submissions? Because please don't run away.
this is the ruling. Very carefully said. Most parties, them I will not report, I will not reproduce them. But I will go ahead and make all the remarks. That on the onset, one state and agree with the country that this application was filed by about 13 law firms. This position confirmed by the notes of motion, which was filed, this notes of motion, which was filed in September. And at the end of this notes of motion, it is clearly stated that this application was jointly drawn and filed by those 13 law firms. Indeed, as Council has submitted, applicants have been represented by more lawyers, but they can say like 10 lawyers in all. However, I also agree that the applicants has have got the right of their choice, of their own lawyer, and who should and who should not be. Because of that, I will grant this application. One, applicants are given opportunity to get additional lawyers of their own choice, beef up the team, the 13 law firms, of the 50 lawyers, and giving them up to second life, get their own lawyers. However, I go ahead and say, as I'm giving the applicants the choice to assemble his team of lawyers, they should assemble from today, and by that date, 2nd July, the same team of choice should file written submissions in this application by 2nd July, not later than 6 p.m. The same lawyers of his choice. That is one. If they do that, then the respondents to file their written submissions by 1st July. And I want to say 1st will be a Saturday, but I order that you have 5th, 4th, up to, we are now using weekends. Don't raise the issue of the weekend. By 4th July at 6, file the written submissions. Then we joined up with the team, the applicants, to file their rejoinder, if any, by 6th July, but not later than 6 p.m. Then, after that, the application, which is said that it was a file, which I have not seen, cannot stop this honorable court to give directions this matter, which was filed before. So this application, therefore, will proceed on merit, and all the concerns of both sides will be put in their written submissions, of which those concerns in the written submissions will be addressed by this honorable court in its ruling, which will be delivered by pictures and images of the lawyers who filed this application. The ruling will be delivered on 8th July at 3 p.m. The outcome of this
I'm extremely concerned with what is going on this afternoon. As you have heard, we did not have lawyers in the process leading up to today. The respondents have not been served up to today. Therefore, they could not have even responded. It's because of what has been going on. You have heard, I know, that our lawyers are on the run. You are now advising us to assemble others who will not run. Because the person terrorizing them is the accused. This is why it's fundamentally important that if there is to be justice in this court, the whole question of how we are represented should be addressed before this very application can be heard. Who are going to make submissions that you are ordering when everybody is on the line? Whom shall? So, if it appears to me, the last speaking, I did make a point here, that Mr. Museveni showed the law of detention without trial. And this was advisedly, because that's what it seems all this is aimed at. That we simply remain in detention because we cannot have lawyers, we cannot, the main case we are talking about, we have never seen the disclosures because facilities are. So coming to this court, it seems we will be trying with our eyes covered, with our hands and feet tied, and with our lips zipped. How can we have justice in that case?
Yes, I have already said all the proposals and if you have my will, it will be
in which matter? Because you are telling us to make submissions. Who will make submissions? Because please don't run away. Never surrender.
Abalungi abatuwuliriza era abatulaba olunaku olwaleero tukyaddeko ewa Sheikh Asiraf Dembe.
Sebo sanyusa okubalaba. Amannya agange Seeka Asiraf Dembe akola ku bizibu by'enjawulo. Omuntu singa aba alina ebirwadde musomereddwa tumuwa amazzi ga lukuya nga bw'obadde ogalaba, tugenda abantu ku kyoto ne twokya emizimu emibi egibabaamu n'okulomba edduwa. Abantu singa abeera ng'ali wano atuuse sobola okumulombera edduwa, ne waba atatuuse nga mpadde amannya ge naye ng'ali wala. Neetaaze enamba yange yeeno eri 0707763711. Nammwe bannyinaffe abali ebweru oyagala okuba nti oyagala okulombera ku dduwa ng'olina ebizibu, viza zibuze, amaka gakolongotana, sente zikola zimpita mu ngalo, ojja kumpeereza ekifaananyi kyo n'amannya go, ebyo byokka bijja kummala, nja kukulombera edduwa, ojja kutereera. Olunaku olusembayo mu mwezi mba n'edduwa ey'awamu ffenna n'abalwadde bange abakadde n'abapya. Salaamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.